What is going on, YouTube? This is The Last Musketeer, and welcome to part 3 of the Blue Archive free-to-play Is It Worth It series. So first things first, while this is playing in the background, I need to talk about something for just a moment, because it's something that I feel is important to the overall progress of the game. And so it's going to be a bit of a rant talking about energy real quick, and that's just something that I feel like needs to be stated, at least early on, and I'll talk about it more in the finale. But the main thing is, I feel like between the events and the campaign farming, I run out of energy extremely quickly, and I know there are some ways to replenish energy. You get a little bit through the club, you get a little bit through the daily from logging in at specific times. Also, it recharges over time, so if you log in a couple of times a day, you're going to have a decent amount there. But also, the cafe gives you some, and depending on the level of the cafe, the more that you get per that. I don't know if it's also affected by comfort. I'm not sure in that aspect yet. I haven't really deep dived into what the overall upgrade is for it, but one of the ways you can refill it is getting a full refill by spending 30 gems. Now, these are a precious commodity for a free-to-play player, and the reason being, if you're looking for a specific pool, maybe there is a banner with a very meta hero coming up, you're going to have, unless you get lucky, at least to get the guarantee, 200 pulls on that banner. So that means saving up quite a bit to be able to get to that point, because if you think about it, it's 1,200 gems per 10 pull, leaving it 120 per individual. Now you can get a decent amount, even as a free-to-play. I think they are fairly generous with all the different events, and if you're climbing up an arena or whatnot, but some of these are one-time offers that you're going to get, so it's going to be a little bit harder later on to get to the point of being able to do that. So sustaining in that sense is probably not the easiest thing to do, and so it leads into a bit of the rant that I'm going on here, which is basically that if you are not spending gems on this, you're going to slow progress through the game, and you're going to miss a lot of rewards on the event. So that is something that I find a bit of a downside, but maybe there's things that I'm missing. You can let me know in the comments. Maybe there's ways to refill it that's a little bit easier. Maybe I'm just not managing it well enough, whatever it may be, but you can give me some tips, some advice in the comments if you would like on that. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say about the rant. We're going to get into some of the actual gameplay, talking over it. So what I'm doing here is I'm going into the hard mode of the current raid that was on here. It is since over since the end of this video, but during it I found out that you can actually use a support from somebody that is in a club or on your friends list. So what I did was I borrowed Azusa, who is extremely good for nuke. So as you'll see here, when I finally use her, I'll pay attention, I'll note the amount of health that he has left. So he's sitting at 750k, going down to about 715k whenever I actually use the ability. So she takes him down just about 120k in one burst, and that's without him being debuffed, that's without her being buffed. So she could potentially do an insane amount if you actually have a really good team set around her. Right now, obviously, I'm missing a lot of options, so I don't have the best thing there. But the best part about being able to borrow a support champion like that is the fact that if you beat the raid, you don't have to manually do it again. You can then sweep the stage for the rest of the day. So if you have one that you're very close to doing, or you think you might be able to get it done with a support champ, you can go ahead and bump up to that difficulty, use the support champ, clear the boss, and then you can sweep it the rest of the time. It's going to allot you a lot more points than it was previous. So I could only do the normal version by myself at that point. Once I did hard, I was able to sweep it, and you see I almost got 2 mil extra from that overall. So it's a really big jump in how many points you can actually get, and as you can see here, I'm going to claim the rewards that I got from 2 runs on hard mode, and you can see I get a lot out of it. Now, the raids are a great option when it comes to grabbing gear. They've also got a lot of Ligma shards in there that you can use. I think from what I hadn't claimed, there was roughly 60 to 80 Ligma shards there, but as you can see here, I did a 10 pull, and this is a little while back, so Ken, if you were watching, I have been saving since then. I've got a decent amount because he has been scolding me in the Discord about pulling, but I just really wanted to pull during this point, and my greed was, of course, getting the best of me. So I did pull a 3-star And I got the swimsuit version of Nanami. Now this is one that I'm kind of excited for because I like the regular version of Nanami a lot. She is extremely good. It seems like anytime I use her ability, she wipes basically everything on the screen other than bosses. So I was excited to use this one. And I do like the fact that when they do the actual alternate versions of champions, they give them different abilities, though based on the kind of same aspect. So instead of doing a fan, she instead turns into more of a burst, and it does quite a bit of damage. I don't know that it's better than Azusa, but it is another nuker that I have a chance to use and test out and see just how good she can actually be. But this is a little bit of the actual ending to the last event compared to the one that's current. Now by the time this video goes out, that one also is basically going to be over, and I'll have to see what comes next, but that will be in the next video. So basically, I've taken part in about 3 of them. Now the first one I didn't get much time in because it was around the same time that I started, so clearing some of the levels was going to be basically impossible for me. I couldn't get through the main story because I wasn't high enough level by then, but on the second one I cleared the main story, didn't really get too far into the second part of it, the quest part, but this one I'm actually able to explore into the quest a decent ways, and I'll talk more about how the level jumps happen in that one. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to try out any of the challenge stages yet because they are recommended level 50, and that's a bit too high for me right now. But as you can see, I'm spending some of the event currency that I got from doing the regular storyline on some of these, and I did get lucky enough to pull 2 of the more rare drops. So I got a 10 piece for one of the champs and a 10 piece of the helmets. That is a currency to buy some of the better, more rare items in there. So what I ended up doing, I believe, was using it on Eligma at the end, because the chances of me getting 40 helmets altogether is basically extremely slim. So I went ahead and used it on something that I knew would help me a lot in the future. But we're going back into some of these raids. This time I got 1.8 mil instead of the 1.79, so it's a bit of an increase. I'm starting to learn a little bit more. I'm not using the lanterns as much as I should, but I think at this point I do a decent job of clearing hard mode with the support, so it's not too bad overall, but I'm going to go ahead and sweep it 2 more times and then show you the rewards I got from the extra points from these 3 runs. And I do believe that overall, with the way I'm doing this, I should have some decent rewards by the end of it, and something to show off, just to show just how good these raids can be. So you really need to focus on making sure that you've got a good team for each one, and kind of look forward to see which ones are coming next, which specific damage type you're going to need to deal with it. And as always, make sure that you have enough sustain going into these. But I'm leveling up some of these skills for Hina, and the greatest part about it is taking it from level 2 to level 3, took it from 731% of attack to 922% of attack. That is a massive jump. Now the next one from 3 to 4 is only up by about 100, but that is still a huge increase overall. So if I could get that one up as soon as possible, that would be fantastic. And the reason I'm focusing on Hina of all things is because she is my favorite character in the game thus far, so I'm making sure that I put as much support into her as I can early on. Now, it may change in the future in case something I need a little bit more. Azusa would be an option that would be really good as well, but for the time being and just for the showcase, I'm just going to focus on Hina for the moment and take Azusa up as I can. Probably Nanami as well, because she is a good option, especially when it comes to clearing waves. She's going to be one of my best. Now, I unlocked Chapter 5 after beating Chapter 4, 5 for the first time, because that one was actually a nightmare for me. And I went back and finished 3-starring all the levels in Chapter 4 so I could grab the nice 200 gems that you get from doing all of them at 3 stars. I do believe there is a lot of ways to get gems in this game, and as you can see right now, I'm sitting at 2200. I think at the start of the video, I was around 650, and you're going to see what I end with by the end of the week, which is a pretty insane jump, I will say. Now, I did unlock a lot of different game modes that gave me a lot of different options that are kind of like one-time rewards, like Arena, so I just really have to make sure that I note everything that is going on with those. And I will say, before we even get to it, Arena is a fantastic option for gems, and I think they did a wonderful job of allowing you to get a lot of them through just the regular climbing itself. Now the mission I showed right there was actually the ending of the regular storyline for the new quest, playing tag at Neverland. So now we're going into the actual quest section of it, where it's going to get a little bit harder, but you're going to be able to auto farm it and get a lot of rewards out of it. Now the story itself was pretty good. I did enjoy it, and you know, honestly, there is a couple of heroes on there that I would really like to pull, but I'm not going to be able to get them because I am lacking a lot in funds, and if I'm not going to guarantee it, I'm not going to go for it at this point. So I'm going to see what I can save up by the last week, and hopefully I can spend them all showing you some champ that I'm really trying to gun for, because there is a lot of people helping me out in the Discord, and also I'll leave a link in the description of the video for that as well. But they give me a lot of ideas of who's coming up and who I should actually save for. Now I do have a decent amount of these purple ones that I can use to buy some Eligma shards in the store, in the tactical assault store that I got from the raids, so that I use them for Azusa. Now that was after the ending of that particular raid, and I do apologize because I didn't think about recording while I was claiming it, so I don't have the footage of the actual claim, but I do believe later on in the video I actually show what the countdown looks like for the next season, so I show what my total rewards are. Now I finished chapter 1 of the regular story, so now I can go into chapter 2 and start doing this, and the best part about it is most of them are just story, so you can get Primo Gem from them, and you get like 40 per finish of each part of the story, and that first one had 20, so I got 800 Primo Gems just from that alone, which is a really good option. Like I said, they do a lot of offering for you, at least early on. As long as you have a lot of content to clear, you're going to get a decent amount, especially for a free-to-play player, so you're going to be able to pull stuff, but you're going to have to wait between banners if you're wanting to get the secure, and hopefully by week 5, I know I should have saved up early on, but hopefully by week 5 I can start to pull on one and show you if I got enough for that pull in specifics. But we went ahead and completed 5-5. Unfortunately, in the first 3 stages I only got 2 stars, so I'm going to have to go back and finish all of those to get the extra 200 from the full completion, but that will not take too long, because on the last couple I did already get to max 3 stars, because you know, early on I just had a lot of bad takes when it came to going into an actual level, and as you can see there, I went back and did it by that point, but I just didn't do a good job of planning stuff out. So even if it was terrain that wasn't the best for them, sometimes I would have people in the worst spots as far as their damage, so I was just falling off in damage a lot, and I just couldn't survive long enough in some of these. So you know, I went back and fixed most of that. I have a good idea of what I'm doing in the game now. But one thing I do want to note, this is actually for the anniversary, and these are some really good rewards. So hopefully, I don't know how long this is going to last. Hopefully you get into the game before then and you can claim these rewards, because they're fantastic. Now I'm using some of the total assault tokens that I have, just the gold ones. These are the less rare ones, and I'm purchasing Momoi and Maki because these two seem to be really good, as what they tell me in the Discord. And as you can see, I'm up to 51 out of 80 out of Momoi's and 50 out of 120 for Maki, so that will unlock when I get her to 120. She is a 3-star, that is the requirement for unlocking them. But I'm going into the regular store in the current event and spending some of my currency. Now there is not a lot of currency here, but by the end of it I nearly buy out all of those specific Eligma. So actually doing some really good progress in that sense, though if I had more energy to be able to spend per day, I think I might have been able to get to that point just from auto farming, because the end levels were a bit too high for me. I just could not do them. But one thing I wanted to note is that in chapter 6 it starts to have 2 units going onto the field at the same time. Now you need to be careful because early on I didn't have a lot of great options for a second team, so I kind of spread out my units as much as I could, making sure that the first unit, my strongest one, that I have Tsubaki on here, is the best option for fighting. So I basically spent all my time using her, and I just had the other one unlocking certain areas for me, or if they have to do a fight just to get the amount that you need, then I would use that. But they would very, very close to get knocked out during that, so it was a bit scary to say the least. But we're starting to get it done, and at least they give you the option of clearing most of it with a stronger unit, though I am going to have to make sure to focus on getting up a good tank and some good damage to mix in to both of these. But this is the actual start of the arena, and while I'm setting teams, you know, you can plan ahead for what you're dealing with and set up different ways of dealing with them. I kind of chose one team and just stayed with it the whole time. I put a stun in there, and looking back at it, Hina and Nanami are both in it, and they're both very greedy with their abilities. So I probably should have swapped one of them out. I should keep Hina in because she does a really good job of doing less fan but more damage in that specific area. So if I can get her onto like 3 different champions, then that's going to be a lot better option than Nanami. But as you can see, everything is playing on auto. A bit strange, but also the fact that Nanami for some reason ran to the right side solo. The rest of them are fighting on one side, and then Nanami's over there soloing on that side, so a bit strange to look at, but this is basically how it goes. So I would recommend, unless you're wanting to see how some of the tactics work, I'd recommend just letting it skip the tactics. As you can see, I have that button checked. I click mobilize, and it goes ahead and shows me what happened. So it's a predetermined outcome because it is on auto. Some of the bots, the AI can do some really stupid stuff at times and use just weird stuff. There are ways of going around that mechanic, I believe, but I haven't watched any videos on it because I don't want to know myself. I want to try to figure it out on my own if I can, but there are great guides out there for helping you bump up an arena. And as you can see, a lot of the same champs get used early on. The tank seems to remain basically the same throughout these, so it gives you a good idea of what you're going to see in the higher ranks. But it is a fantastic source of pyroxene because every time you're moving through and winning fights and moving through the ranks, it's going to give you pyroxene while you're leveling up through the ranks. I don't know what the threshold is. Maybe it's 50 ranks, maybe it's every 10. I don't know exactly how they do it. All I know is I've gotten a ton from that. I think in the first day I got 1,000 pyroxene, and I do also want to apologize for calling it Primo Gems through this. I don't know what game that's from, but I run so many different gachas that I just keep forgetting what some of the names of the special currency is. But as you can see here, we leveled up the cafe to rank 2, and we are now able to earn a decent amount more, so I'm happy with that. We're going to level up the comfort, get it a little bit more poppin' in here, get our cafe earnings up per hour, so hopefully, you know, that's going to net me a decent amount more energy. But we're going back into some arena because this is the next day, and as you can see, this is by the end of it I get to rank 1006, and it's only around this point when I'm starting to do some of these fights that they're starting to ramp up in the total level of everything. You're going to see going from 1,000 to some of the lower ranks like 900, you're going to start seeing people with level 80 characters in their roster. I don't know why they're at the bottom down here. Maybe they stopped playing for a while and came back, and so they're just moving back up through the ladder. Whatever it may be, it's a bit strange, and hopefully I don't run into too many of that. Hopefully I run into more people around my level and can keep progressing a decent amount. Also, we finished chapter 6, and I went by it earlier, but I kind of play everything in the background and let you see it while I'm talking. Hopefully you catch some of the stuff without me talking about it. But chapter 6, I actually cleared all of it with 3-star, I believe, on the first attempt. So like I said, I'm getting better. I'm doing better with my units. Claiming those free 200 pyroxene at the end of it was really, really nice. So as we're going in, this is the thing that I wanted to talk about. So I beat 7 and I beat 8 on the quest of the event story that's going on right now. From 8 to 9, it jumps from level 45 recommendation to level 63, which is a massive, massive jump. So it's going to be quite a while before I can actually do those. Maybe by the end of the 5th week I can do something like that, but I do not know just how fast the levels go up or what the higher levels look like, so it could be a long time before I get to that point. But after doing all of these quests, as you can see, I'm purchasing a good amount of each of these. 17 for the first one, 19 from this one, and from Chisei's, which is the most important one to me, 30. So there's only 2 more that I can actually purchase, and this is at the end of the event because I don't have enough and I can't auto farm enough to actually actually get the rest of these. So that is just a showing of what I was able to do, and there's also good ways of earning a lot of credits through beating quests in a certain amount of time. I'm not strong enough to do that yet, but if you can, it is a great option. You can also get Pyroxene from finishing the challenge stages in a good amount of time, but I don't know how the challenge stages work either, so that's something I'll have to get to later on. But just as a showcase, this is what my teams look like currently. Just doing some levels up, and I am at rank 35 for my Sensei level. Now, not too bad, not the best either, but I did unlock the 3rd slot for some of the students with this actual level 35 upgrade. So now I have extra crit for my damage dealers, which is going to be nuts, make Hina that much better. But also, I don't know how the flat crit damage works. It says 130. I'm used to seeing like percentages or something for these, so maybe it's the amount of extra damage that's added on to a crit. I'm not exactly sure. Somebody can let me know in the comments how that works, and I do appreciate all y'all's help always. And also, I want to note, while I'm leveling these up and looking at some of the stuff in the background, as of this commentary, I am 2 subs off 1K, which is a massive milestone. So I want to thank everyone who watches these videos, who supports the channel. Just thank you so much for everything you've done. This has been a fantastic journey. I love doing it. I love interacting with people. Once again, in the Discord, I talk to people basically all day. There's no stipulations for adding me. Like, I'm perfectly fine with talking with everybody, so never be worried about interrupting anything. I am always down to communicate, and I try to communicate as much as I can in the comments section as well, as long as I have time. Sometimes I find myself getting lost in it and have been working on it for an hour and a half to 2 hours. It's just an insane experience, but I love it, and I thank you guys so much for everything that you do. But going back to the actual game, I'm leveling up some of the skills for Momoi, and if I'm saying that wrong, do let me know. I don't exactly know how to say their names, but she is a fantastic unit for doing some burst damage in an area. Very cool, and I'm hoping to level her up a decent amount. But as you can see, most of my squad, most of my students right now on my list are at least level 34. I have some of them that I haven't worked on just because I've been trying to save some of the things, but I should probably work on them just to swap them out for other things. But as you can see, this is the ending of the raid. That's where I got 800 Pyroxene, 425 of the gold tokens, 200 of the advanced or the purple tokens, and then you get a couple of trophies that you can throw into your cafe, which is really cool. It's just a little trophy showing like a little bragging rights for what you've been able to accomplish, so it's really cool. I really like that idea. But I'm going to go ahead and end the video here, guys. I do appreciate once again all the support that you show me, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If there's more things that you would like me to talk about in the next one, I can try to focus on that a bit more. But anyway, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.